What I'm going to show you today is how to take a little bit of a shortcut when it comes to bread making. It does cut quite a lot of time out of the process. It does have an added benefit of actually allowing the flavour to develop a little bit more so that you get a much tastier loaf of bread, hopefully. So what are we going to do? We are going to use some of the flour, some of the water and all of the yeast, and that is all we're going to do at this stage. What we're going to do is we're going to form that into a sticky mess. We're going to cover it in polythene and we're going to let that develop overnight. Okay, it doesn't take a lot of time. So whatever your recipe is for your bread, you weigh out 250 grams of flour, goes in the pot. You then put 250 ml of water, goes in there, and then all you need is your yeast. Now I'm going to put about 7 grams of yeast in this particular one because that's the recipe I'm going to make when it comes tomorrow morning. Okay, that goes in there, and that is all the ingredients you need for the starter dough. And then all you do, get a wooden spoon and carefully make sure all of that is mixed together. Once it's started, it just becomes a bit of a gloopy mess. You keep on going until you're sure that all the flour is nice and wet. Normally takes about 30 seconds. That's it. Then all you've got to do is scrape whatever's sticking to your spoon off. Make sure it all goes in the mixing bowl. Then all you've got to do is cover that with polythene. You can tell I don't work on Blue Peter because I didn't have that ready. Over the top she goes. That's it, you just leave that on the side and that will be good tomorrow morning when you get up, or whenever it is that you're going to make your bread. That will last for about 24 hours and still be usable. And then in the morning all you do, put the rest of the ingredients in, carry on making the loaf, but you only have to do the second proof. This is the first proof. Okay, so it cuts that time out and you'll have a lovely tasty loaf. Okay, so yesterday we did 250 flour, 250 water and the yeast in our dough. I've left that overnight. I would say it's probably been about 15 hours, 16 hours since I've done it. As I said before, it does stay good for around about 24 hours. It's not necessary to leave it that long, so as long as you've left it at least 3 hours, it's nice and active. So what's happened in the meantime? As you can see, it's puffed up, there's lots of air bubbles, it is a bit of a sticky mess. Okay, doesn't matter, we're going to leave it in there, it's not going to involve us. So all we need to do now is put the rest of the ingredients. So a little bit of rapeseed oil, not a massive amount, just a little bit, gives it a nice little flavour, also helps the texture of the dough. I've got the rest of the flour as well as the salt. Okay, whack that on top, and then the rest of the water. What you will find is you'll have to just play a little bit with the water and do it by eye. I know exactly how much I need for this particular amount of flour and dough, but that comes from experience. Okay, your starting point is your main recipe and then just go from there. So having done that, I can just put that in the mixer and let it go. Okay, so I've finished kneading it. I've got my dough here completely ready to go. All I'm going to do, just as an aside, you'll notice that it has got seeds and that in it. That's because that just happens to be the loaf of bread that I'm making today. Okay, all I'm going to do, roll it back into a ball, bit of flour on there, and that is ready for its intermediate rest. And then when it's had that, in about 10 or 15 minutes, I'm just going to shape it, I'll prove it, and I can cook it. So we don't have to do that first prove using this method. That's done by the starter dough or the sponge overnight. So it automatically cuts at least an hour and a bit or so out of your bread making when you come to do that in the morning. Hope that helps. Any questions, give us a bell.